picking up on sort of the last series of questions, I want to really understand how the state of California confirms the eligibility of a voter who interacts with the DMV.
So I appreciate the question.
Citizenship status.
I appreciate the question. I'm here to talk about this bill.
This bill.
And no, the bill is to extend a task force that provides transparency and accountability and oversight of the DMV's implementation of the law. And so this bill is about the task force, not about the underlying law.
Well, what is the task force doing about allowing people who aren't citizens to register and vote? Hold on. I'm speaking. That's not my allegation.
You want to ask questions? I'll answer the questions.
I will ask questions.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. And be aggressive, then we can do that.
One at a time, please.
I'm speaking, and I will allow you to answer.
That's kind of you. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
you're here to answer questions to the committee.
Yeah,
at this
relevant
time.
questions to the bill.
Okay. This is not my accusations. This is the DMV's admissions that they allowed 1,500 people who are not citizens to be. Are you denying that? That they allowed 1,500 people?
I'm going to let you answer your question, and then we'll answer it because that's.
They allowed 1,500 people who are not citizens to incorrectly register to vote. Is that true or not?
That is not true. I'm not sure what source you're citing, but when the initial rollout of the DMV's current motor voter system, there were some errors in the initial rollout, but there were not 1,500 non-citizens registered. Most of those were duplicate registrations for eligible individuals, and those were quickly consolidated, and the errors that were initially in the 2018 rollout of the program have completely been resolved, and the task force is an essential tool for maintaining the ongoing efficiency and functionality of the system.
Okay, so you don't consider the Associated Press article where it was printed last year, DMV officials said an error may have prevented nearly 600 people from voting and another may have allowed 1,500 people, perhaps including non-citizens, to incorrectly register to vote. Are you familiar with that?
Just listening to that sentence, it doesn't sound like it says that 1,500 non-citizens were registered. It says there are 1,500 errors, potentially including non-citizens.
Through the chair, to avoid back and forth, can other committee members ask questions at this time?
Thank you very much. Absolutely.
And if folks from the committee want to bring up questions or bring up concerns, we're happy to look into those and figure out answers as the bill moves through the process as well. Obviously, it's kind of hard to react to things that certain colleagues haven't necessarily asked of my office, asked of me ahead of time, and then come in with encyclopedic knowledge of every accusation that's been alleged. But obviously, happy to look at all of those and happy to get back to folks as the bill moves through the process.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing the questions.
Okay, we have a move to the bill, and we have a second.
Madam Chair, I'd like to finish asking my
If
question.
you have a question on the bill specifically.
I do have a question on the bill because I'm asking about what is going to be this transparency and accountability that we're going to have. And I'm asking about not just allegation reports, but then there was a audit done by Ernst & Young that looked at these issues. And according to the state of California, 6 people who voted in 2018 were ineligible people who are registered to vote at the DMV. And what the audit found is that the state of California doesn't do anything to validate the citizenship status of people who are registered to vote through the DMV. It's a self-attestation program. And my concern is that we've also built in immunity. So anyone who says they're eligible but really isn't, we've now said they're immune from prosecution.
Okay,
so
this is not a question on the bill.
my question is, what is this task force going to do to deal with this major flaw where we do not confirm the citizenship eligibility of voters?
So that 6 number that you mentioned is that 2018 problems with the initial rollout, which has been fixed. But to answer your question, the task force is specifically tasked by law with being reported to from the DMV and the Secretary of State on any irregularities in the system. And there's an annual report that's published from the task force. The 2022 report is out. The 2023 one is forthcoming. That includes a very detailed analysis of any irregularities in the program and what was done to address those during the previous year.
Okay, what did this task force recommend should be done to address those issues?
As I said, that issue has been resolved. The initial software glitches with the program were resolved in 2018, so that issue, there's no issue to be resolved there by the task
How
force.
is it resolved? So how today do
This
we
is
check?
not the forum to be going into what the task force has done. This is
Well, I want to know if this task force is actually doing anything or not. So how did they resolve the issue with a voter not being a citizen and being registered to vote?
As I said, that was part of an initial software glitch in 2018, which has been resolved, and the task force was started in 2021, and so it was created after that problem was resolved. I was part of the settlement team that was monitoring the DMV during that period, but the task force is a means to continue that oversight and transparency. And the task force findings are in that annual report that is available to the public and to the legislature. So if you would like to see any of the irregularities that happened in 2022, which do not include non-citizens becoming registered, that is on the Secretary of State's website.
And in my experience, human error does occur. And sometimes somebody does register who is not a citizen, and it is corrected by canceling that voter record.
But how do we identify that error? So if the voter is
There's a
being,
number of different ways that error gets identified.
according to this audit, they don't check. So I just want to make sure this task force is going to look into that issue and come up with a way that we can confirm eligibility status. So my questions have not been satisfied, so I'll be opposing this bill today.
Thank you.
Okay, picking up